Correct. And so this is your main note section right here,
Mm-hmm.
just right front and center for any of that. This is how you contact people. So you'll see, obviously their name and everything, their email here. You just hit the phone, right? And then when you do that, you'll see here's the phone number that you're going to be calling. Now here's the phone number that it's going to be from. So this would essentially represent your caller ID, what they're going to see.
What our number is. Okay.
Okay. Now your cell phone number you put in here, down here. Now this is, I don't know if some people are familiar with this, some people are not, but this is a loop dialer. Okay. So the way it works is if I were to hit start call right now, then the system's gonna call whatever phone number you put in here, your cell phone number. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then once my cell phone rings, I'm gonna answer it and it's gonna say, press 1 to be connected to, and I press 1. As soon as I press 1, and then it just starts ringing like a normal phone. Like as if I'm trying to call.
Calling someone. Yeah.
Okay. So what that's doing is it's looping through by doing that action, it's putting us through we're now using the call rail number. Okay. It calls us and then it connects to call rail. We press 1 and now that phone number, this is what the person on the other
Person
side
sees. So I can call from my cell phone, but they will see our office number. Correct. Right? Okay.
So just to be clear, will it see, so that call rail number we have, will it see that, or could the number that it's forwarded to, the 57 number, the 3357, I couldn't do it. It's going to show my call rail number because that's where it's all going through.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly right. So because see, it's hardline integrated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you'll have the menu of, like you guys in your menu in your account, you'll have 2.
Gotcha.
For the 2 phone numbers that we created.
Okay.
If you had created 10, you'd hit this drop down, you'd have 10 to pick.
Correct. Okay.
So you could have Tonya's. You could create a call rail number that's Tonya's office.
Tonya. Yeah.
Yep. And that's now your personal identity phone number.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then you could create another phone number that was the office. You could create another phone number that was whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And then whoever you wanted the client to
see who it is. Yeah. You just pick it. Okay. And then, so then in turn, so let's just say there's a Tonya number, whatever the number is, she uses that to start calling people. And then if she's texting with people, it's gonna show that same number.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that before, that it's nice to have if you say you're talking to someone and because they're calling an 800 number for us. And so we give them a local number. So if she gave them our local call rail number, any further communication that she'd have with them would come from that. So it's matching all up. It's not, you give them one number, then you're texting from another, and it just kind of dysfunctional a little bit, but.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yep. So I'm going to hit create and view. So I'm just adding a lead to the system right now.
Correct.
So, but the same goes for the texting as far as picking your caller ID. So if you're texting, just like I showed you with the calling, the same goes for the texting.
Okay.
Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is me here.
Okay.
So if am I going too fast for you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So if we're going to send a text message, we're sending it to here. We're going to send it from. So you have these two.
Yeah, those two. Yep, to choose from. Yep.
And then so this is if you had a snippet.
That's where is that most common thing, Tonya?
Okay, cool.
Right there.
Okay.
And then you send whatever and send text.
Okay.
Okay.
That's cool. All right. There.
One thing that this Forefront does like, I just know that this system really does enjoy a good refresh if you're not seeing information kind of pop up right away. Sometimes it does, but not always. I always hit just Command R, for the refresh, and everything usually catches up with a refresh. But right here, you can see. So the text message is sent.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And so taking the notes. Now, here's the other thing that we set up here is the follow-ups. This is a big part of the system.
Yes.
Okay. So here in the follow-ups, these are all of the different follow-ups that we added for you guys. Now, I highly recommend step 1 is to read all of these different follow-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Follow-ups to me are they can be a blessing and a curse. Okay? They're more of a blessing than a curse, but here's why they can be a curse if you don't really understand what's going on in the system as far as which follow-up did you put them on? If you put them on the wrong one, you could just be saying things that are out of context, right? And it's just
right.
And so just that's why I'm always just know your follow-ups. Be confident about them. When I put somebody on a follow-up, I know exactly what's going to happen. Does that make sense? I mean, I know I went through them. I know them. So I do it with confidence and I'm not worried about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How you achieve that is just by reading it, obviously. So when you go right on the sidebar follow-ups, you can hit manage on the side over here. Now, real quick, what this is going to tell you is the name of the follow-up sequence, how many days long that follow-up sequence is built to go. Mm-hmm. So you can see 20 days. Here's 270, 540 days, so over a year, right? Then this is how many steps are in that follow-up, and then how many leads are in that follow-up sequence on over here. So you guys don't have any leads in the follow-up sequences yet, but if you did, they would just show up right there. Okay. So now I'm going to go over here to manage, and then this is where you can see all of the follow-up sequences, and you can add a new step if you wanted to. You can edit this if you want to, all right in here. So the first thing that's going to happen if you were to put them on this follow-up, the call 1 week or weekly follow-up. So 5 days after you put them into the follow-up at 8 a.m., a task is going to be created for John to call them, right? System can't call them. So it's going to tell you, bingo, what do you got to do today? You're going to call this person. Okay. Then after you do that and you hit the checkbox, the system on day 6, so the next day, is going to send a text, hey, we tried to give you a call. So it's assuming that you didn't get a hold of them. Right?
Right.
Because if you got a hold of them, you wouldn't want this text to go out.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
So the system, if you do connect with them right here, you're going to take them out of the follow-up.
Right.
Okay? You don't need to follow up with them. We connected. I don't need to follow up with them anymore. Right? And if they call, if you leave a voicemail with them, you call them, they don't pick up, and then they call you back an hour later, the system will automatically take them out of the follow-up.
Oh, that's nice.
That's really cool.
That is really cool.
You'll see the response happen. Okay?
Really
so you'll have to put them back into the follow-up if you want that to happen, or it's going to be essentially a new lead. It's a new conversation. Okay? But if nothing happens on day 6, this text message will go out. Okay. Then on day 10, another task will be created for you to call them. And then the same pattern. So then another text message will go out. And then day 15, call. Day 16, call. Day 20, call. These are all tasks. Okay. So you can just see the behavior of this.
Mm-hmm.
So on the sidebar over here is where you would add any description to this or anything that you wanted to. Now also is you can tell the system if you wanted to use a different, phone number for the caller ID or anything. Now, any inbound communication for this lead will pause the follow-up sequence and then place the lead into this status. Okay, so right now we have it to needs attention. Right, they called, and so it's going to pause the campaign and it's going to put that lead into the needs attention category.
Gotcha. Okay? The column, yeah.
The column. But we could change that. We could tell the system to go to any one of the statuses. But to us, logically, it's like the one that, hey, this one needs attention. They called. Right? So then, now this down here, when a sequence is complete, after you put somebody in a follow-up sequence, what do you want to have happen afterwards? This is a really interesting thing. Because you could have the system say, hey, after it went through that, if they didn't respond, it could be dead. Or it could be orphaned, which is kind of like archiving an email. It's not deleted, gone, but it's just orphaned. Or you could put it into start another campaign. Okay. So if you wanted it to start a new campaign, which campaign would you want it to go into? So what this will allow you to do now is have one follow-up campaign lead right into another follow-up campaign, into another follow-up campaign if you want to. You could create endless loops of follow-ups. So now, how is this real world relevant to us? A pattern of, hey, a lead comes in and we're trying to get a hold of them and they're not responding, right? They went through and they kind of are urgent. If they go through, here's the 1 to 12 days trying to get a hold of you, right? Still interested. This is a really common one that we put people into. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of you. Hey, are you still interested? Still interested. Now, after they get 8 messages from us and they don't reply, we'll have them go into a slow drip follow-up. So it's like, I think if we machine gun them for a little bit, like, come on. And then I'll let it breathe. Yeah. Slow roll it.
Marinate it.
Let it marinate. I don't need to machine gun them anymore. I already did that. Like, now just let it be a casual follow-up, right? So I'll have it after this one, it'll go into that once a month follow-up, right? Gotcha. For the next 12 months.
Okay.
Okay. So to me, that's super powerful.
So in that campaign there that you were just showing, and it had the calls going out. These are all so hypothetically, you have a call rail number for yourself. Sort of like you were saying, we could set one up for Tonya, we could set up for me. So I would be calling from that. So if I'm mobile, how does that work if I'm kind of on the road all day and I need to do my follow up and kind of go through the call rail so it does sit in the system for me? How does that work?
Yeah, you can do it right from the mobile app.
Just from the mobile app? Okay.
Yeah. The same system works.
Okay.
And I always encourage my clients to download the CallRail app on your phone.
Okay. I don't have that. Yeah.
Yep. Get the CallRail app. So if for whatever reason, if it's not, the Forefront app isn't working, quite right or whatever, then the CallRail app is solid.
Yep.
So you'll always be able to use the CallRail app, bar none, in the field, no matter what. And I have battle tested that up and down.
Okay. So obviously you've got a CallRail, a phone number specifically for yourself that you use to make all your calls that go through your cell phone. So okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of getting back to
get to know those. Yeah.
You can see the way we named them. Like the way I think of it from a lead management perspective, it's our job to match the client's urgency with the appropriate follow-up. So if they're super urgent, we put them on a super urgent follow-up. If they're not very urgent, we put them on a not very urgent follow-up. You got to match them where they're at, so the better we know these, the faster we can just match them into it. Like, oh yeah, this is a good one we need to call this guy every 30 days, or we need to call this guy every 6 months, this lead here, or, 90 days, or, after a offer was declined, follow-up steps, and, declined offer first step, or the text message 30-day follow-up. The ones that I use a lot are the scenarios that happen the most, which is like, we're just trying to get a hold of somebody.
Correct.
Chasing somebody down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vast majority of the time it's that, or it's I'm kind of that wishy-washy warm lead that almost always falls through the crack. And what the person that's like, yeah, I'm interested. I had a good conversation with you, but not right now. It's probably maybe 3 months, 6 months down the road. That person, that lead gets lost.
Yep.
Almost all the time. So that's the person that you put into this 90-day follow-up. Bingo. You just put them in there, and then you will systematically not miss them.
So those are all the calls. So that means just someone calling them, right? Is that?
Yeah, you would get a task reminder every 90 days to call this person.
Call this person. Okay.
But if you wanted the system to do a text, so it's passive, then you could do the text message at 90 days.
Okay.
Okay. So I would, the better you know the follow-up system, the more leverage you're going to get out of it. So I would consider this as a really good foundation to build off of. But if you want to create a new one for a unique scenario, okay, here's a unique scenario that I help my clients out with a lot, is like, hey, we have a bunch of leads that are just stale. Nobody reached out to them. We're embarrassed. Like, we just didn't work this pile of leads very well. We're overwhelmed. And so now, like, it's just, what do we do with all these leads? How do we re-engage with leads like that? Okay. Well, to me, I would create a follow-up sequence that matched that scenario. Okay. Where it's like, hey, we had a conversation a while ago. Just wanted to reach back out to you and see if anything's changed, or if you're still interested in selling your house. Right? That's a generic thing that can go out to anybody that fits that. Hey, we had a conversation a while ago. Okay. Just wanted to re-engage with you. Create a 3-step, 5-step follow-up sequence that's just re-engaging old leads language, just like that. And I would put all 20, 30, 40, 50 leads in that same follow-up sequence, put them all into it, and then start working on the people that reply to me.
So you can do a batch, like text blast, or
it's not a text blast. It's just putting each person.
Just putting in for each person. Okay.
Yep. But then the system
does the work there. Yeah.
Yep. And the principle that I really try to stand on in a scenario like this is like, what one person might be chasing the leads. Oh, start calling all those leads, and they start calling and calling and calling, and they're chasing leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I will put everybody on the same follow-up, and then I'm going to sit back and wait for who's going to reply to me. Now, I am going to start working with the people that reply to me, which means to me, the people that want to work with me. I'm not chasing people down. It's a different dynamic. If you're calling me back, you're like, hey, thanks for
I like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. As opposed, hey, remember me? Remember me? Remember we had remember?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm desperate. Remember me? Yeah.
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 That's what most people do.
Yeah.
And it gets really tiring, and it's kind of annoying, obviously. Right. So my policy in my office is work with the people that want to work with you.
Right. I like that.
So create that, and I put 20, 30 people at a time onto a sequence like that. And then bingo, I'm starting to work with the people that want to work with me. And those are the people that get my attention, and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's, this is the follow-up sequence. Any questions about this?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. It's pretty straightforward. The campaigns, this section right here, this is essentially like your marketing channels. So if you want the system to keep track of like how many leads came through your direct mail campaign or your, whatever, I don't know what, your billboards, whatever.
Right.
Which I would highly recommend, obviously. So you create a new campaign by hitting that orange button, and this will ask you, what channel did it come through? Okay, well, we did direct mail. Okay, so we want to call this, probate direct mail. Okay, that's the label. And we know it because it came through a certain phone number. So if you wanted to have a unique phone number for that campaign, for that letter, you could create a unique phone number in CallRail that would be called, probate campaign. And then that would be listed right here. And if we did that, we hit probate campaign right here. And so now anytime that that phone number comes through the system, it would pick up the label of probate campaign, direct mail. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So then we can tell it the default user. And so now I'm going to create this campaign. Here's another campaign that's real world that you guys are going to want to right away is the referrals. So we all have networking and just referrals. That's just a part of life, right? So we'll just call this networking. Okay. And it doesn't need to have a phone number, by the way. So I'm just going to leave the phone number blank and the default user blank. It's just going to create a very, really simple campaign here. So now you'll see that there's a cost on the side over here. So if you wanted the system to start dividing cost per lead, cost per transaction, cost per, okay?
Sure.
You want that right here. So you go with referrals.
Yeah.
Okay. You can just add a new cost. Let's say dinners. Okay. We don't need the amount, but let's say, hey, we put in $250 into the dinner bucket every month. Okay. With the date that we added it. Okay. So now you can start dividing, hey, how much money are you really spending on networking? Most people say it's free. It's not free. It's gas money, it's dinner, it's stuff. Okay. And you can start marking it. So now every time we do this, if we were to add a lead, it's going to just divide that. And you can add costs. Like, next month, let's add another $250 there. You can hit manage, add a new cost on this date, and just do that. So obviously same for direct mail. So you come in here, how much did we spend on direct mail and when did we spend it? Okay. And that way it will track it right there. So now when you come into this lead that we put in here, there's no campaign right here, but we want it to be on networking.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the motivation. I inherited it, and this guy's really unreasonable, and he wants top dollar, so it's a retail listing, right? And the temperature is pretty serious, so he's hot.
Cool. Yeah, that's what we're going to be, Tonya. Because of the leads coming into this one number, we still get notified kind of through our system, but we can just make them up however we want, like you did the referral thing, and just billboard just on and on and on, and then we'll just have to go in that lead detail and pop that information in. So not a problem.
Yep. Exactly. That's how a lot of people kind of baby step into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You can, if you wanted to, you could kind of get elaborate with the forward, create call rail numbers and have those numbers that you are already using and establish forward to a call rail number. And then the call rail number will go into the system to create a more automated tracking. I mean, I believe that would be possible in your scenario.
Okay.
Just food for thought. You are getting into the forwarding chain, so it's the more you do that, the more it's like. But I think it really would work. Just food for thought.
Okay.
Now down here, on this sidebar over here, this is where you get all the property information. Okay, so you can just enter in any of that. Here's the lead information. Okay, so all of this information on the side over here.
So real quick, Tony, just so you know, so when you pop in the details of the property, it'll, if I'm not mistaken, it'll, you know how we're always going to Zillow just to get a picture, right? It'll pop a picture up, right, of the property. So
really?
Yeah, right up top there. So if he was to pop in an address down there, well, that one, it just may not have maybe not a Google map to it, but typically it'll show a picture of it if I'm not mistaken.
If there's a Google photo available, it pulls it.
Yep. It pulls it, yeah. And then the lead info down there is basically your call script per se.
By call sheet, yeah.
So we can, we can edit that however we want in terms of when you click on edit there, or I'm sorry, yeah, that's where we would edit it, and then the drop down is how you have it set. Yeah, we could change all of those right there, however we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay.
Yep. And this little caret, right? So you can get all that just in visually right here if you wanted to. And you can you can control how much of this lead information is. See how this information is always showing right here, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's more if you do that drop down. So
gotcha.
you can also control what information is always visible in this. So if you always wanted certain of
sure. Yeah.
portions of this to be always visible, then you can do that. So that's kind of
okay.
Cool.